Yo, 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 it's Newbies to Movies. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Justin.
This is a podcast where we like to talk about new movies that we're watching. With this week's theme being Matt Damon. Kind of aligning, this is going to come out quite after the Odyssey comes out, but we're doing like a Matt Damon and Christopher Nolan back to back weeks, just in light of like the Odyssey coming out and being the biggest movie of the year, if we're being quite honest, and the summer by far. But yeah, before we get into that, we'll just talk about what movies we've been watching lately. If you want to start off, Justin.
Yeah, so not really a movie, but I've been watching a show. I kind of binged the hell out of it this week. It's called The Runarounds on Amazon Prime. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's
Dude,
basically...
I love that show.
Okay, so you have seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it was sick. Definitely a little corny. Like it feels like, high school TV show, but I love the music in it. I think the music's really great, and I think the songwriting aspect of it is a really cool plot line. I found out that it got canceled, so that kind of sucks.
Yeah, I was really pissed when they canceled it so early too with it, dude. I was so pissed.
I know. I was like kind of looking into the band too, and they only have like 100,000 followers on Instagram and stuff. So I was like, dang, people must have really not watched this when it came out. Normally something like that would really blow up, I think like the Outer Banks or something of that nature. How that blew up.
It actually, the band started because that the creator of Outer Banks hired them, and he's the same creator of this show.
Yeah.
And like hired them to play for the Outer Banks show. And then they're like, all right, let's create a show out of you guys. Yeah, dude, I really liked it when it came out. I started listening to their music right when it came out too, because I think they're really good for their age.
Yeah.
The drummer is actually insane though.
He's
like
nuts.
the drummer, dude. I was like, all right, everyone's like decent. The drummers are the same.
Yeah. No, that's like a whole plot point in the show. Like he's clearly way better than everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so obvious.
Yeah. But no, they're really good. I mean, they have like a Backseat Lovers kind of vibe, even like a little bit of Cage the Elephant, which is like right up my alley. So yeah, I've been listening to their music like crazy this week too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, dude, that's crazy that you brought that up, because I think I watched it within the first week it came out, and then they decided within a week they're not renewing it. And I was like, what the fuck, man?
To be fair, like the story, I see why they ended it. Like now they're like a band, and now they're signed. They like make their own music. That's just the end of the TV series part of it.
It would just turn into like the Outer Banks, where like every other season's just not gonna be as good as the first.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Well, awesome. So I've been watching a lot of movies like usual. I could go into all of them, but I'm going to save some because I watched 10 Matt Damon movies this week. Kind of tired of his face. But so I'll get into that right before we rank his performances. But I'll go over 5-star movies that I watched. So 3 of them being rewatches. The first one being The Drama. I rewatched it. And originally I had it at 4.5. And on a rewatch, I was like, yep, this is my favorite movie of the year so far.
What's it on now?
HBO.
Okay. I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, I like it so much. I heard some people either really like it or they really don't like it.
Yeah.
I think the camera works insane with it. I like the script. I think the 2 performances and playing off each other is perfect with how it goes. And like, it just feels like such a small story, but it's all set in New York, and it's right up my alley. I really liked it.
Cool.
The second 5-star movie, this was a first time watch, was Mulholland Drive with David Lynch. We're actually planning on doing this in the podcast way in the future. So Justin, that would be on the foresight for you. But I've been wanting to watch this forever, and I had time. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to watch this. And I didn't think I was going to like it. It's super cool. And I don't want to spoil it too much for Justin, but 5-star movie for me, and moved it into top 20 of all time for me. That's how much I liked it.
Jeez.
Another 5-star movie, a rewatch, was Brokeback Mountain. I originally had that at 4 stars. But on the rewatch, I was like, all right, this is like a kind of a perfect love story kind of movie, but like a tragic love story.
Mm-hmm.
And then that kind of leads into another rewatch of Titanic that is also a tragic love story that I rewatched and bumped it up from 4.5 to 5 stars, because I was like, this is like one of the best epics I've ever seen, and moved it from like 60 on my list up to like top 15, because I was like, it's so nostalgic for me as well. But really great epic movie. And then the other 5-star movie being Amélie. It's a French film that's set in Paris about this woman that's like going through like a coming of age kind of thing, but she's like going out of her way to help people with their lives. But she is a shy girl, and she's trying to like step out to make her life better at the same time. And have like a romantic, so it's got like a rom-com feel to it as well. Dude, this movie is right up my alley in a lot of ways. It was fun. The cinematography is so unique. It's like Fantastic Mr. Fox a little bit in the way of like how whimsical it is as well, and like how free spirited it feels. And it's like a move. The movie makes you feel like you're getting a hug afterwards. And I don't think many movies have made me feel that before. It's like an instant rewatchable for me. Yeah, I liked it so much.
I know you were texting me about that one. You were really excited when you saw that, so I'll have to check that out, especially comparing it to Fantastic Mr. Fox. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, just like the whimsical nature of it all
Yeah,
and the way that it's filmed, it feels a lot like that.
yeah.
Very, very similar. Two other movies that I'll just shout out that I really enjoyed, but not quite 5 stars for me was the last. Wait, no, that's a Matt Damon movie. I'll wait for that. Jojo Rabbit. It's a movie about a German little boy who has like his imaginary friend is Hitler. And he's like, it's during World War II and it's set and they're like harboring like a Jewish little girl, but he's in Germany. He's in Berlin while this is all going on. And he's grown up with Nazism. And but it's like a comedy at the same time. Quite
Yeah,
a unique movie. And I really liked some parts of it. Some parts I thought weren't the best, but then some I really liked. I think it's quite an interesting watch that I recommend to check out just because it's just a unique movie. Taika Waititi's the director,
yeah.
and he
As
plays Hitler.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, like a lot of his movies feel like that. Like there's parts that you're like, wow, that's a really great, scene or a great, well done, and then some of it you're like, what the hell is he thinking?
Yeah, exactly. And then the other one is I Swear. It came out technically last year in the UK, but for the US, it came out this year. So it's another 2026 movie. And it pretty much just shines a light on Tourette's syndrome. And it's about this guy that goes through it. And it kind of just shows his story through him, like his childhood up and how he was like pretty much like people judging him, bullying him. He almost died because he had Tourette's and he said the wrong thing to the wrong people and they didn't believe him and stuff. But then it like really wraps up really nice. I really liked it. Really nice story, and then as well as like the actor does really well, even though
Yeah,
he doesn't actually have Tourette's. Like plays it really well. But yeah,
cool,
a
cool.
lot of movies lately.
You've been grinding, man.
Yeah, dude, awesome,
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, so this week is Matt Damon himself. He himself is kind of a meme to where like SNL like did like a skit with Matt Damon where they just like the skit was he was the host and he walked up as like the doctor or he walked up as a patient and then the doctor was like, "My name's Matt Damon," and then everyone was like, My name's Matt Damon. My name's Matt Damon," and there was like 10 people saying, "I'm Matt Damon," or like, and it was very funny just as like a meme of like the name itself. What do you think of Matt Damon when you first see him?
I gotta bring it up. It's like trending on Reddit and Twitter this week. Somebody asked the question, how many billions of dollars are we going to spend to try to get Matt Damon home? Because that's all his characters do. They said basically Saving Private Ryan, Dogma, Interstellar, The Martian, and now The Odyssey, just to name a few. And I'd argue really The Talented Mr. Ripley, which we watched this week, is about them trying to send him back home. I don't know if he really
Yeah.
wants to go home, but yeah, Matt
He just
Damon's
wants to go
super
home.
cool. Obviously, one of the biggest actors of our generation. He's just in everything, right? He's putting his name out there and everything, which we'll dive into his specific filmography later on. But yeah, you can't really go far without seeing his face anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, he has 126 acting credits on Letterboxd, which is kind of insane. I described it at the beginning of the week. Somehow he's an A-list actor, but I still feel like he's underrated and where he has the Academy Award for writing, but not for acting,
Yeah,
which is kind of insane because watching a lot of his movies this week, I think if you watch any actor that much, you're going to get kind of tired of his face, but he's also just such a great actor. It makes it look so easy and seamless in all the movies, even though he's playing different roles. Famously, he went to Harvard and then dropped out. But while at Harvard, he wrote the script for Good Will Hunting. And when he wrote it, he gave it to the professor, and they're like, "No, continue writing this. Whatever you do, continue writing this." And he took that to heart. And then him and Ben Affleck, one of his childhood best friends, both ended up being A-list actors together, but knew each other since they were 8 and 10. Would drive each other or would share the bus together and the train to go to auditions together. And now they're like create their own production company. Really cool story, actually. Coming up from the bottom, really from Boston. Yeah. I think he's a really underrated actor in a lot of ways, but also So yeah,
I mean, I agree. I think he's underrated in that sense, but I feel like since Good Will Hunting, has he really had any like really big, Academy Award bait kind of movies, I guess you'd say? Like he's really just doing a lot of blockbuster stuff, a lot of
yeah,
action, a lot of like not so serious movies where I feel like, I mean, we've seen Good Will Hunting. He really kills in that role, you know?
yeah, yeah. We'll get into his performances, I think, a little bit later, like
Yeah.
more in depth with him. But I would agree on that. That's why I think this year is a big year for him. But even that's like an action movie where it's
Yeah.
like not many action movie leads win Oscars, especially when he's going up against Tom Cruise, where everyone's saying that this is his role to win an Oscar finally. Robert Pattinson's in 5 movies this year.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of competition already this year, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a nom just because he's in a Christopher Nolan movie that I've heard a lot of good things already about. So
Yeah. And it's definitely an action movie, but I think it's a serious enough role where it'll definitely get Oscar love.
yeah, I think so too. Cool. You want to play the game real quick?
Yeah. So we'll play Spottle again. I've been having fun playing this on my own time, but I haven't played today. So let me share it here. Oh, thanks. Add right away. Cool. All right. So we're going to play. What movie you want to start with? You want to do a Matt Damon one?
Um, sure.
Let's do Good Will Hunting.
Let's do.
We talked about it.
Okay.
Okay. It's close to an 82 score, and then it's close to 1997 with no actors or directors. We're going to try like an action
What does
movie.
black mean again?
It's just not close.
So it's not even close to rated R.
Yeah. It's probably PG. We could do like Toy Story. Oh, Toy Story
So I'm
was later.
thinking maybe.
Toy Story was later.
When was The Lion King?
Probably right around then. Let's try it because that'll at least help us with the rating. There we go, 94. Hey, I've seen a lot of color.
Pretty on the spot.
Okay, so it is in between 97 and 94. It's rated G, and it's family animation adventure. All right, we're really close.
I feel like it has to be a Disney movie. Yeah.
Well, the fact that it's yellow makes me think it's Pixar or something.
Pixar.
Yeah, because I don't know what would be considered close to Disney besides Pixar.
Wasn't Toy Story the first Pixar?
Yeah, I thought so.
I thought it was.
You want to try it?
Because Bugs Life was also a very early Pixar, but I think Bugs Life was
right
after
after.
97.
Yeah, it was right after. All right, let's try it.
Dang.
Dang. Dude, why do we have that on after the first movie?
We look-y could have got it the second one. Yeah.
I was second guessing it. I thought it came out in like 99.
Yeah.
Let's
I think
go.
the second one came out in 99.
Yeah, that would make more sense. Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
We cooked. All right, sweet.
That's hype. Cool. Awesome. You want me to start with Mr. Ripley, or do you want to go with Bourne Identity?
Let's start with Bourne Identity.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You start then.
Yeah. So Bourne Identity, I got to say, like right off the top, I'm not ripping this movie. It's just clearly this movie is kind of like a blockbuster action movie, not meant to have a lot of critical thought behind this. But basically, Matt Damon, it follows him as an assassin with amnesia. He's kind of rescued out of the middle of the ocean in the Mediterranean Sea. And he kind of over time discovers he's a highly trained CIA operative named Jason Bourne. And he meets an ally along the way named Marie, kind of helping him try to figure out who he is. And he's evading the agency because he knows somebody's after him to kill him, but he doesn't know why. He kind of uncovers the secret assassination program to take out some world leaders. And then as he's doing that, he kind of regains his memory. I think this movie's plot was okay. I think the ending was kind of lacking intrigue. I think about 3/4 of the way through, we already knew everything. So it led to the final fight being kind of lackluster to me. We already knew everything. It was more about who was just going to win at the end rather than like more information coming out, kind of changing characters' perspectives. So for that reason, I gave it a 6. But what do you think about the overall plot of this?
Yeah, I don't think it was convoluted at all. It's pretty straight up. Like, he loses his memory because of a rogue mission that goes wrong, and then he's pretty much on the run right after that, trying to figure out who he is, why he doesn't remember anything, pretty much. My biggest hit on it is the romance just feels so forced to miss. Like, there is like zero chemistry between them. I was like, all right, I watched the second one and it all makes sense because the spoiler alert, even though it came out in like 2004, they kill her off like right at the beginning of the movie, and I was like, thank God. Holy crap, dude, that felt so forced. I was like, dude, I don't think she's a good actress either. Like,
Yeah.
so I think that was also a problem. But I think the action sequences, the spy network, he's a more believable spy that may go into character as well. But the network itself with the CIA is a little bit more believable than like the James Bond movies for me. Like more believable, but like I don't think the story is as good as the Bond movies usually
Yeah.
are, if that makes sense. But I
Hmm.
think the network building makes a lot is more real world, if that makes
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Damn. Well, I mean, it was crazy watching this. It was like a time machine, those clunky ass computers they had.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, holy shit.
Or like they're like, "Oh, yeah." I read one comment that was like, "This is like one of the last movies where, they're like, oh, zoom in, enhance,' and that's just not how, like, it actually works." It's not
Enhance
just
the photo. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah, you zoom in and you can enhance it. It's like, "Nope, that's actually not how imagery works."
Yeah, no. Kind of getting into their relationship though, I was gonna bring that up in characters. Like their romance was like just non-existent. They just basically hook up and then all of a sudden they like somewhat care about each other. But again,
Yeah.
like the whole time, I think it was her acting because he clearly cared, right? He was like, I need to get you out of here. Just go to the police, tell them that I was bribing you to help me and you'll be free. And then she would just sit there like not saying anything. And I'm like, talk or something. Like, let me know what's going on with your character because I don't know either. How are you
Yeah.
feeling about this? And then she didn't have any backstory either. We understand where he's coming from, but why is she running around with this rogue terrorist basically like just
Yeah.
okay with doing this? Does she have
Yeah.
nothing else better going on with her life?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
at first
so
it was for the money, and then she was like, "Yeah, you know what? I guess he's kinda hot, so sure, I'll stay."
yeah, it was simple as that. At least give me some backstory and say, hey, like she has no family. She's been stuck in Europe for a long time now, and she's got nothing to lose. Okay, boom. Now I see why she would be running around with this guy. But like there was nothing like that. So that also kind of made their chemistry just not work at all. Like she was just kind of there all the time.
Mhm.
Also, I texted you about this while watching it. Walter Goggins being credited as research tech number one. Fucking hilarious.
Yeah. It's always something about, like, early 2000s, 90s and 90s movies where, like, famous actors are just these really side characters because 'cause they're still trying to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was pretty good. And then getting into cinematography, I actually thought the cinematography was really great for this as an action movie. I think it's highly praised too for in the early 2000s, kind of revolutionizing the fight scenes in the early 2000s. The kind of shaky cam aesthetic definitely defined the franchise from what I read. I haven't seen the other two, but everybody was talking about on Reddit how that really took off the spy thrillers throughout the 2000s and 2010s. They
Yeah.
did a lot of fight scenes kind of based around how they did it in the Bourne Identity, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, I read that as well. It's cool, really cool action sets while you can still see his face, and the shakiness works in this movie. The thing about the shakiness is that they took this and ran with it, and you could and I watched it in a lot of his other action movies, not just the Bourne movies, but some other ones that he's in, and then I remember a lot of other action movies in the 2000s. It's either hit or miss, dude. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's just too shaky, and I'm like, "Dude, I can't watch this crap." Like, it's like, just hold the camera still for once, like this one, I think they do it really well, but then watching some other ones, I was like, "All right, they took what they did and, like, made the whole movie revolved around a shaky camera," and I was like, "No."
Yeah. Somebody compared it to Taken, and they were like, dude,
Yeah.
Taken is borderline unwatchable in the fight scenes because you just don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Like, this, you understand what's going on, but it just shows his skill a lot better.
Mhm.
While the other ones, it just makes you more confused, and I think it's supposed to, like you're supposed to follow, like, the speed that they're moving, while the other ones are just like, "No, you're following the brain." It's like,
Yeah.
"Alright."
For dialogue, I give it a 6. Before I give my quote, I gotta say the funniest scene was when they're trying to get into the hotel to get the hotel records, and he's giving like this master plan. He's like, I need to know how many security there are when you go in there. I need to know how many people there are in the room. I'm gonna call you, do this and that. And then she just shows up with the record. She's like, yeah, I just asked him. I was like, okay, that's a funny bit because like most of the time these spy thrillers are gonna go on this whole like tangent just to get
Yeah.
their thing that they need. And then it's funny just to be like, oh, actually, that works just as well.
Yeah.
That's a pretty funny bit.
Yeah. For me, the dialogue just wasn't anything too
Yeah.
special for me. One of the later Bourne movies, there's like the line of like, "Holy shit, it's Jason Bourne." Like that's like edged in my brain, and I think it's the third one if I remember right. But yeah, but I was waiting for it to happen in this one, but it never happened. And I was like,
Yeah.
damn, you could have just kept it going. It's just every line, some like random side character is just like, "Holy shit, it's Jason Bourne."
It should have been Walter Goggins.
Yeah.
No, my favorite line was when he was still trying to like understand. He was talking to Marie and he said, "I can tell the license plate numbers on all 6 cars outside. I can tell you that the waitress is left-handed. Now, why would I know that? How can I know that and not know who I am?" So he's just kind of trying to understand why he has all these like really high skill level things, except he can't figure out why. Like he knows he is somebody and he's really good at this stuff, but he just can't figure out why. That was one of my favorite parts of the movie is just him trying to understand why he's good at all these things. I think they
Yeah.
should have played into that and leaned into it a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. If reading into it is because like part of your brain remembers like the skills that you have, and
Yeah.
another part remembers your like memories.
Hmm.
And it's like a quite distortion between like memories of like your skills and but like skills just being in depth. And that
Yeah.
just shows how highly trained he was beforehand.
And then set design, I gave it a 6. Dude, this movie had that 2000s gray. It was really
Yeah.
gray. But I did like that it was pretty like realistic. Like nothing, even though they were in Paris and a lot of nice places in Europe, it wasn't like done up. It was like intentionally just like, hey, yeah, this is what it looks like in the real world. Not like we kind of talked about with Bond, how it's kind of overblown, right? Things are kind of out of proportion.
Mhm.
This was very just like how it would be in the real world. He was on the run. He was living in a lot of bad, cruddy hotels. Like nothing looked spectacular. The spectacular elements were supposed to be him as a character, which was done well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite interesting to compare it to like some other actions like like John or franchises like James Bond, the Mission Impossible ones, and as well as John Wick, to where each one the set pieces are quite different, and this one is by far the most realistic because they like to play up those other sets
Yeah.
to be more fantastical, which I think was like pretty cool, especially like him hopping out and then he does his own. This is part of the acting, but also kind of gets into set design where he is actually doing his own stunt work, and it's pretty obvious that he's doing his own stunt.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty well done stunt work, too. I mean, I think, like we talked about, all the fight scenes were pretty well done. And so, kind of getting into that with the acting, I gave it a 6. I think he was a real standout here, but I think the cast around him was pretty lackluster.
Hmm.
Nothing special going on for anybody. I know a lot of the other people were CIA agents and their backgrounds were kind of just intentionally left like ambiguous and their motivations ambiguous. But I think he was the real standout here.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's Damon's movie takes it over, but like the second leading character, which is like the worst actor in the movie. So it's like
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to rate it well after that. But Brad Pitt was like turned it down. He was offered it and he turned it down, which I thought was interesting. I think it'd be quite a different movie. They ended up doing Oceans together. But yeah, I feel like Damon fits it a little bit better. But this is coming at a time when Damon was kind of viewed as like, I mean, Goodwill Hunting, you got Saving Private Ryan, you got Mr. Ripley. None of those give off action stars, you
Yeah.
know? And then he learns like hand to hand combat. He loses a bunch of weight, tries to get ripped, and then does this role and kind of kills it and becomes the whole franchise pretty much because of his performance.
Yeah. Directing, I gave it a 5, directed by Doug Liman. Apparently, so he had created differences with Universal after this movie and walked away from the franchise as a whole. He hasn't done much else. I saw he did like the Roadhouse with Jake Gyllenhaal, the newer one.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but that's kind of it. But I thought it was pretty decently directed, decent, thorough story. If I had to knock it, I'd say the pacing was a little bit off. Like I said, we kind of know everything by the middle of the movie about all his secrets. To me, you want to kind of save those to the end for a big reveal at the end. But that's just how I would, envision it.
Yeah, you don't want to show your whole cards until, especially in like a mystery kind of a thriller action like this is supposed to be. And I was like, when I rated it, it was like, yeah, it set up a whole franchise, so I got to give it at least 5 out of 10
Hmm.
with like a little boost of like being a pretty well liked franchise. But something for me was just missing from this, like in a directing stance, and it makes him sway. there's just disagreements on why he didn't do another one.
This movie must have done well at the box office because I feel like if this came out today, it's definitely not getting a sequel. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so either.
Or they already had signed on for a couple movies with Damon or something. But yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Soundtrack, I gave it a 6. You know, it used music to convey plot points, nothing special. I wasn't like taken out of the movie by the soundtrack by any means, in a good way or bad way.
Yeah, I'm complete opposite. I understand it's 2000s like action movie, but it was so distracting to me, and I absolutely hated it. I was just like, all right, it's like boosh, shoo, shoo, boosh, 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 boosh. I'm like, all right. It's like I need to turn down the volume on this.
I didn't notice it.
It was quite distracting for me. I was like, I really don't like that kind of soundtrack where it just seems like filler sometimes for me.
For the theme for this movie, again, it's a blockbuster movie. There's not a lot to dive into here. I'd say government accountability, but again, that's barely touched on just between, you know, the head of the assassins and then also the, the guy actually at the top of the CIA. It's just kind of barely touched on, but also memory and identity, right? Just kind of trying to figure out who you are as a person and what you're meant to do in this life.
Yeah. What I really like about some of the Mission Impossible movies is that it's all revolved around finding your identity as well, but I think they're drawn out a little bit better. That's what I'm missing from the themes in this movie and why I only gave it a 5 was because the main theme is trying to find out who you really are and like who you are true to yourself, but it's just not drawn out enough. Like he doesn't talk about it enough. Nothing's revealed enough about it, like about his character. So for me, that was just what was missing.
Yeah, and it's like they almost started to, right, man? When they went to the what was it, her friend's house and they were staying there, and Matt Damon was like playing with the kids. And it ended up being the reason he didn't assassinate that world leader was because he had his son and all his kids around him when he was asleep. And it's like, okay, what's that about? I don't know if they dive into that in later movies. Does he have kids? What's his connection with kids? Why is he, why did he not kill this guy he was trained to kill because of kids? Dive into that more. Give me a story that makes me feel a little like heart shaken for this guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I watched the second one recently. I've probably watched the other two with Damon way back, but I don't remember the plot lines of those ones at all. But the second one gets more into like a revenge because they kill the girl at the beginning. But
that was the other thing. I was like, I don't know where you go from here at the end of this movie. Like it's like happy ever after. So
I think it's because they didn't know if it was going to continue or not.
Yeah.
They wanted to leave it open it enough to where they could open it back up. Kind of feels like a James Bond thing,
Yeah.
Most James Bond movies end and you're like, I don't know where they go from here, but then they just reintroduce him into another scenario. Pretty much. Yeah.
Editing, I gave it a 6. I thought it did pretty well, especially like we talked about with the action sequence. Pretty rapid cuts and movements. Again, I think great choreography overall for the fighting sequence. Like we talked about Matt Damon doing his own stunts. I thought the longer shots in the fight scenes was cool too because it didn't really give the audience a chance to kind of catch their breath and relax. It was like, it did make you feel like he was always on the run and there's trouble around every corner, which was pretty neat.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. It was building up till the end. I don't think there was anything dragging too much, maybe a little bit to the middle or maybe like the romantic parts just because I don't want to keep beating a dead horse. So it just kept feeling so forced. And I was like, we don't need to see this.
Yeah. Yeah. So overall, I gave this movie a 5.9 out of 10. I can't hate on it too much. It was a blockbuster spy action thriller. You're not going to get a whole lot of substance out of those, but it was a fun watch. I enjoyed just, not turning off my brain and just watching this thriller.
Yeah. That's a good way to describe it as well. Yeah, I gave it a 6.2 out of 10 or 62 out of 100. It's a really similar score. I enjoyed it. I wouldn't mind because I watched the second one pretty soon after it. And then I'm probably going to watch the third and fourth just because I'm like, why not?
So
it's nothing too crazy.
If I'm understanding right, there's 5, right? And the fourth one, Damon left. It was Jeremy Renner.
Yeah. I don't know what the whole backstory to that is. I may have to look into that. Tony Gilroy is the director for that one, which Tony Gilroy is a pretty good, well-known writer. So I may have to look into that. And Gilroy and Damon are friends, so that's even makes it even more confusing.
Yeah.
Maybe he was just trying to do a different movie, didn't line up with his schedule.
He came
Yeah.
back for the fifth one, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
With his own, and that one was under his production company that he founded with Ben Affleck.
Okay.
So, which is also interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe that had something to do with why he didn't do it. I don't know. I may have to look more into it, but yeah, he left for that movie. That movie was kind of a miss, and then they did a Bourne Legacy one, kind of to wrap it all up. I think, but I haven't watched it, so I don't really remember how it goes.
Yeah.
Awesome. So moving into a movie that comes out earlier in his career, almost like right after Good Will Hunting, The Talented Mr. Ripley follows the story of Tom Ripley as kind of a con man esque, where he says that he goes to Princeton because he's playing the piano for his buddy because he has a broken hand. And then from that kind of goes into a story to go find this rich guy's son, but then becomes obsessed with the son and his life and his wealth. And it kind of turns dark to where some murders happen. He kills the son and then he kills his friend. But this whole time he's manipulating everybody around him. And then he starts like stealing the identity of the son, Dickie Greenleaf, and starts going by his name, but then also has a romantic interaction with as him. Quite like a convoluted plot. And I feel like you need to be paying attention because I feel like if you look away for like 5 minutes, you can be like,
Definitely.
what the hell just happened? Why did this change all of a sudden? He kind of plays like an oddball character as well. Like this is quite a unique Damon performance, in my opinion, compared to a lot of his other films.
Yeah.
Quite a weird guy. Like the whole movie, you're like, something's off about this guy. So you're not surprised by what happens.
Somebody, I think I saw like a Letterbox review, and they said the first half of this movie is Call Me by Your Name, and then it switches into American Psycho, like right
Yeah.
over like a period of 5 minutes. And if you miss that 5 minutes and you walk out of your room, you're gonna come back and be like, "What the hell?"
Yeah. Yeah. Like maybe Jude Law's character, Dickie Greenleaf, is like a little bit bi.
That's
but
Jude
then,
Law. That's just
yeah.
hitting me. I didn't even I was like, this guy
Yeah.
looks so familiar, but I have no
Yeah.
idea who this is.
Yeah. For the plot, I gave it 8 out of 10. It drags a little bit in the middle there. Not too much for me though. I was still kept on my toes,
Yeah.
understanding the nuance of the film. It aligns well with fitting the theme of like obsession, wealth, being well liked. He's a very people pleaser kind of person. And then it also aligns well with like explaining how he manipulates people's emotions and just coming off as like a very likable normal person, but then like behind the scenes, you're like, this guy's a weirdo.
Yeah, I think the beginning really dragged for me, but I think it had to. I think they really flushed out the relationship between the two characters really well. Jude Law's
Mhm.
character and Matt Damon's character. It made you feel like, oh, this is a really weird relationship that they have. And it almost had you like kind of uncomfortable every time they were together because you didn't really understand what both of them were getting out of it until that halfway point. And then, yeah, it happens.
Yeah, it's like 30 minutes. That's not even less than 30 minutes. I think it's like 20-ish minutes into the movie, and he starts impersonating his father.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that doesn't like trigger him to be like, he's like, oh yeah, I'm really good at impersonations and fake signatures. And he's like, oh, you won. And then he does his father, and he's like, huh? And he doesn't think that's like really weird. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. For me, that's like an instant red flag. I'm like, I don't fuck with this guy. But yeah, characters, I gave it 8 out of 10. I think all the characters were well done. You didn't need crazy backstories to understand that a lot of them were just really rich people from a rich, wealthy lifestyle, kind of spoiled in a sense to where it was hard for them to notice like the little nuances because they just don't come from a life where they need to care about the small things. And each character plays a different archetype where like at first she seems like the ditzy, like dumb girlfriend, but then she ends up being the only one that actually knows what's going on. The girl's obsessed with them, the dumb best friend, which Philip Seymour Hoffman plays so well. It's actually insane. I don't know how he can play that perfectly, but yeah. What do you think of the characters?
Yeah, he's such a good character. Like, he's just such a good character actor. Everything I've seen
Yeah.
him in, he like fully embraces the character.
Yeah.
But overall, the characters were really done well. And I mean, really not that many. I'd say like 4, maybe 5 important characters to the plot of the story. And then obviously they come in and out as needed. It's not like you're forced to follow these same 5 the whole movie. You're forced to follow Matt Damon's character, obviously, but then the other ones are perfectly interweaved in through the plot. You know, none of them kind of outshines the other, which is pretty crucial to, making this feel thrilling for the audience.
Yeah. I mean, it helps when you have like like a really good like young cast
Yeah.
before they all become really big. Because like Kate Blanchett would be huge right now, like Gwyneth Paltrow, Jude Law, Damon. Rest in peace, Philip Seymour Hoffman. But like though all those guys, they're like lead actors and
Yeah.
actresses. They're not like side people. So the fact that they're all like working together in this film, I think that also boosts like the characters because they're just able to play them so well. Cinematography, I gave it 9 out of 10. I thought there were some like really cool camera shots throughout it that were really unique for like a lot of other films I've seen during that time, especially for like a psychological like thriller sense to it at some points. Where like I was like, this is like kind of turning its head at some points, but then it goes back. Like when he hits Philip Seymour Hoffman's like character's head, and then it follows it and is rolled. But then like you kind of get like a clue before it even happens because they show the sculpture throughout. It's like a main set piece
Hmm.
into it. I just thought that was cool camera work. And then it's shot in Italy and it looks beautiful, like a summertime kind of feel to the movie.
Yeah, dude, I gotta highlight that last shot after he kills Peter. That was pretty nuts too. Kind of just him sitting there, but we hear Peter like narrating over their hug, and he's clearly like choking him out or something like that.
Yeah.
That was tense, and what a perfect way to end the movie. Yeah, just such a neat shot.
Well, did you notice like every scene with just him and no other characters is from like a third person point of view, like looking through a mirror?
Okay.
Isn't that so interesting?
Yeah, I
Like,
didn't
right at the
notice that till
beginning
you say it.
yeah, when he's because like, right at the beginning of the movie, he's talking to himself, trying to, like, introduce how he's gonna introduce himself to Dickie Greenleaf through a mirror.
Yeah,
When he's, like, wearing Dickie's clothes before he gets caught in the mirror. At the end of the movie, in the mirror.
yeah, that's
I
cool.
think it's so yeah, it's so
Yeah,
interesting to me that I was like, "That's really cool." Dialogue, I gave it 9 out of 10 as well. Not, like, too many memorable lines, but it just felt very natural with the flow and then, like, kinda, like, eerie things here and there. I always thought it would be better to be a fake somebody than a real nobody. Sometimes it feels like old English that they're talking, but that's just because 'cause they're wealthy, so it's like a riddle that you have to figure out to belong.
yeah. I really like the dialogue in the scene where he was about to kill Gwyneth Paltrow's character. That was eerie. That was like where you really start seeing, because the whole time you're kind of like, oh, this guy's probably not that bad. He's just done a bad thing, and then you're like, oh, he's like way deep in this. Every line after his first kill, you were like, oh yeah, he's gone too far. Like there's no turning back
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah. No, the dialogue kinda, like, escalates as well, where at first he seems very, like, innocent, and then towards the end, it kind of becomes more complex to where he's becoming this, like, full-on psychopath that he is. Acting, I gave it a 10 out of 10 because I think everyone acted their asses off. The fact that Damon didn't get an Oscar nomination for this one, we may get into his performances, but this is an all-timer for me. Great support into it. DiCaprio declined it. It was offered to him first, and I was like, "This is a very DiCaprio-esque type
Yeah,
of
I was
role."
gonna say that feels like DiCaprio.
Yeah. They end up acting along each other anyways in The Departed, so Jude Law was a really big standout, but they all stand out in their own ways, but Jude Law, just shout out to him as well. Really, really good acting by him.
Yeah, not to bring up, a different movie while we're talking about this, but this role really feels similar to The Departed for Matt Damon, like an innocent acting person, but really with some dark
Mhm.
motives, which was so interesting to see that again after we watched The Departed on this show. I really felt like that was the same character for him.
Interesting. I see it a little bit more nuanced just because of the weirdness
Yeah,
takes that he does compared to The Departed and any other movie that I've seen with him. He doesn't really do weird takes like that. Either he's like a weird character the whole thing or like that kind of archetype, but this one he's going back and forth. Normal, psycho, and then like just weird.
yeah.
It's which I think is quite unique. And then soundtrack and effects, all I gotta really say is I fuck with the jazz. I gave it a 9 out of 10.
I texted you. I said, me and Mr. Ripley got a lot in common. We both like jazz. That was before I realized this guy was a psychotic thriller
Yeah,
killer.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's just clearing the air there.
Yeah, I mean, he really didn't like jazz at first, and then he did because Dickie Greenleaf did, and
Yeah,
then he's like,
exactly.
"I just like what you like." Just pretty much like copying him. I think that's what Dickie, like, really picked up to it, and that's what he was getting after when they were on the boat was like, "You're just copying what I like. You don't actually like your own things.
Yeah.
You never bring that." Set design kinda goes hand in hand with what I said about cinematography, but the Italy feel of it was all set in Italy other than, like, the New York scenes at the beginning of the film, and it feels big, but also small at the same time, which is quite unique for that. Like small town Italy, but then like you goes into like big houses and stuff that makes it feel a little bit bigger, but then they go outside and it feels small.
Yeah.
Really cool set design.
It looked cool. It looked like Italy. It felt like a summer in Italy. And I think that's what the movie did so great. It's like, well, of course, I wouldn't want to go back to the US either. I'd be living on the beaches of Italy, jet skiing, having the time of my life. And then, just to take such an eerie twist was, and such a beautiful place was neat.
Hmm. Yeah. The directing, I gave a 9 out of 10. Really cool adaptation from the book. I haven't read the book, but I heard this was like a way better adaptation than a previous iteration of the movie. And their Netflix came out with a show in 2020s, and everyone said it was not good. The director won an Oscar for Best Director 3 years prior, but a lot of people say that this is his best movie by far. But yeah,
Who was
I
it?
thought it was really. I have to look it up real
I
quick.
can look it up real quick. I was just curious what they won for.
They won for The English Patient. I know that, but I forgot the name of the director.
Let's see. Anthony Minghella.
Yeah,
Minghella. Okay.
yeah, and he won for The English Patient, which I have not seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either.
For editing, gave it 7 out of 10. Like I said right at the beginning, where the middle kind of dragged for me a little bit. I think overall really well done and really cool edited shot. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it was done really well. I think it was edited in the suspense really well. And then obviously towards the end, he's kind of on the run from everybody. I think that was edited pretty well too. Him trying to get back into his room, but she can't see that it's him getting in there. The cops have to know that it's him getting in there, not Dickie Green. So it was, yeah, I think it was done well.
Hmm. And then themes, I gave a 7 out of 10, where it's starts with like the wealth status. He kind of gets obsessed with like being wealthy. He like living that life. He likes that lifestyle, but then he becomes obsessed with Dickie, but to the point where he doesn't want to be away from him. He just becomes shocked about it. And then it turns from like somebody asking him if he is that person, and he just doesn't want to live a different life. And he's so obsessed with him where he becomes him. So big obsession type of thing, like things about it and just wealth.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think the themes were done really well. Obviously, the whole web of lies is a very interesting thing to dive into, but obviously seeing his character kind of crumble, like you said, from this innocent person to this very creepy, kind of stalky kind of person was an interesting thing to watch.
Hmm. Yeah, so overall, I gave it 8.5 out of 10 or 85 out of 100. Pretty high rating, especially compared to the Bourne Identity. But I think his role was very unique in this film, but also the movie was really good. I really enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, definitely a different kind of movie. I mean, you don't see something like this all the time. I mean, I think this movie is definitely hard to pull off without the right actors in place. I gave it an 8.2 out of 10, just a little bit lower, but I really enjoyed this movie. Yeah, this is a fun watch. And I'd definitely go back and watch this one again. It feels super rewatchable to me.
Yeah, I agree with that. Awesome. So yeah, that wraps up like just a discussion of The Talented Mr. Ripley and The Bourne Identity with Matt Damon specifically. Right before we get into ranking his top 10 performances for us of his movies. Before we get into that, I watched a lot of Matt Damon movies this week, so I just want to go over them a little bit. So the ones that I specifically watched this week were the two, obviously, The Bourne Identity and The Talented Mr. Ripley. I also watched The Last Duel, which I gave 4.5. I really enjoyed that movie. It involves him, Adam Driver, and give me 1 second. Don't want to get her name wrong. And Jodie Comer. Really cool movie where like it's like follows like these knights during like older English time, but from 3 different perspectives, all revolving around like a case kind of thing that revolves around like them having a duel for their lives, pretty much, between Adam Driver and Matt Damon's character. They start off as friends, but then end up enemies.
Hmm.
Really well acted by both of them. And I really like the story, because most movies where they come from different, same story, but different perspectives, it kind of gets boring. Shout out to the movie last year with Catherine Bigelow. I forget the name of it, but same story, just 3 different perspectives. And that one sucked. And this one was really well done. So I was like, yeah, that I really like that. Contagion, another 4.5 out of 5 stars from me. I really enjoyed it. Eerily accurate with how COVID went. This movie came out in 2011. And it predicted exactly how COVID would have gone like 9 years later. Everyone was like, all right, they cooked with this. Because it's just about an outbreak and how the world reacts to it and everything.
I think I remember watching that in like high school or something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And Matt Damon plays like the most normal character in it, like the everyday dude, and he makes it look so easy in it.
Yeah.
And I was like, why would they put an A-list actor as this guy? And I was like, somehow you don't even realize he's Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Rounders, one of his early movies with Edward Norton, a kind of a gambling movie, nothing too special. Stillwater, 2021, Oklahoma dude trying to get his daughter freed in France, and it's kind of boring, not gonna lie. Green Zone, he's in Iraq trying to see if they have weapons of mass destruction. Hint, hint, they don't, they didn't. Born Supremacy, the second one of it, I liked it a little bit better than Born Identity. Mainly because it's just him doing badass things the whole time. The Rainmaker, he's a lawyer in this one, which I don't think he does any other lawyer films. So I was like, oh, interesting. And he
Yeah.
has a southern accent in the film. And the side character, the main supporting character, is Danny DeVito as his side lawyer. I actually liked it. I surprisingly liked it. I don't know. I didn't expect to. I was like, "Ah, this looks like super cheesy, but it's surprisingly pretty good. Margaret, he plays a teacher in this, a really minor character in this. It follows this girl who's going through grief after seeing a crazy accident. Interesting movie, really long. And then I watched True Grit, and I really liked True Grit. It was 4.5 out of 5 stars. I hadn't watched it before, and really simple, good Western, and he plays like a side character as well in that one.
That one I was trying to get in this week. I was like, I feel like I gotta watch that one if we're gonna rank his movies, and I just didn't get a chance to watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, when we get to ranking, it's gonna be hard to do top 10. I thought about switching it to top 15, but I was like, ah,
We gotta get a challenge going, dude.
yeah, because I've seen 32 of his films now, so
Yeah. Jesus.
yeah, I've seen a lot of Matt Damon, a little too much.
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
You wanna how do you wanna do it? So we're gonna go each pick one, right?
Yeah, each of us do like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, and then if you want to pull up the wheel, I
Yeah.
we could see who gets 10 and who gets 9, and then down so forth. I feel like we should work a little bit more collaboratively so we can get like a good list.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm gonna need We Bought a Zoo like top 5 at least.
All right.
Nah, dude, it's there. Don't hate.
We about to see.
Fucking love that movie, dude. All right.
5 out of 5.
The wheels spun me, so I don't know what that means.
That means you get 10, and then
Okay.
9, 8, and then, yeah, then you get 8, 6, 4, 2.
Bet. All right.
All
Number
right.
10.
Before we start, you haven't seen the ocean movies, right?
No.
All right. We'll see how this list goes.
Trust, big dog. This is gonna be a great list.
All right.
Number 10, since we're ranking his performances, I feel like I want to
Yeah.
put this on here, but again, such a small role in the movie. I'm going to do number 10, Saving Private Ryan, just because the movie's not, I mean, it is centered around him, but he's not, in the movie all that much. I still think it's a really good role for him, especially the few scenes he's in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense why you want to put it in there. This isn't even personally in my top 15.
Shit, man. You better make some room for We Bought a Zoo then.
We're not putting We Bought a Zoo in this list. I
Yes,
don't
we are, man.
know. We don't.
I love that movie.
At number 9, I'm going to put this movie. I think you've seen this movie, though. No, yeah, I'm going to put Invictus on this at number 9.
I have not seen this.
Okay. And God, I'm put it here then. Invictus, a movie about South Africa as they're going through, like, Nelson Mandela is starting to be the president, and Matt Damon plays like the head of the captain of the rugby team. He has a South African accent. Apparently he worked on it for a whole year before started acting, because Clint Eastwood famously is a one take person. He doesn't do multiple takes of shots.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, I only have one take to do these accents perfectly. And he did really well in the movie, really inspirational. I just don't think it should go anywhere near the top 5, but still a really cool role for him.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Number 8, I'm going to take Air. I don't know if that's too early. I really like Matt Damon's role in this movie. I think he really dove into the character, and I think it's a great story, especially the relationship between him and Michael Jordan's mom. I thought was some of the best acting scenes I've seen from Matt Damon.
Yeah, I think Air is good. I have this pretty low as
Man.
well. I mean, it's just not fair to like compare just because I feel like a lot more.
Yeah.
So it's just like I've seen some of his older different roles. I do think it's a good role though for him. He's like the center of the movie as well.
Hmm.
So it's like kind of a crucial role of the film. And I feel like we're getting to that category, like this part of the film where he needs to be like either the center or like playing hand in hand with someone else.
Yeah.
With that being said, at number 7, I want to take the entire Bourne franchise. I'm not taking one of I think the whole Bourne franchise should go at 7.
Okay. Just draft a
And you
character.
know what? And you know what? We can get hurt for that, whatever. We're not picking one of the movies. We're picking him as a character as playing James Bourne. He's really known for it. But again, he's playing multiple in the same film. It's not like he's doing nuance within these different films. He's playing the same guy. So
Yeah.
that's why I think it's fine to take him at this.
Cool. Cool. Um, I'm
I
gonna.
think there's a clear top 6, but I think you've seen all of them except for one. So I think you got this.
All right, number 6. I'm taking We Bought a Zoo, baby.
No, Vita.
I'm just playing. I'm gonna take Ford versus Ferrari here.
All right. Yeah. There we go.
They're like, I really think you have this. I just shit on it. No, Ford versus Ferrari is really great. Similar role to Air. I think it's about a guy taking a risk on his career,
Mhm.
and really, I think Matt Damon really goes into it. Southern accent wasn't too bad in this one. Um, I think it's a great movie, and obviously, kind of headlined right next to Christian Bale in this one too. They work really well off of each other.
Yeah, that's why I think it's a little bit better than Air as well,
Yeah,
just because him and Bale play a lot better off each other. Just because in Air, he's not necessarily playing off another guy like the whole film.
yeah,
He's playing off multiple people. Maybe if he was just like him and Ben Affleck for the whole movie, then it'd be like, all right, I get it. But
yeah,
yeah, cool. Number 5. With number 5, I'm going to take The Last Duel here. Obviously, I think this is the only movie you haven't seen
yeah. I
that will probably
haven't.
be in the top 4. I really like the performance. He is the first third of the film, he's the main guy, but he plays throughout the rest of it. Plays really well as an enemy of Adam Driver, but also plays really just well as like an old English guy. I also just think the film rocks and really recommend it to anybody out there. By Ridley Scott. Kind of slept on when it came out.
I think we are leaving one off here.
No, we aren't. Because I think you're thinking of one, and no.
I like The Martian.
No, that's not the one I'm talking about.
Are you gonna?
The last 4 that I'm thinking, Talented Mr. Ripley, Good Will Hunting, The Martian, and The Departed.
You're not putting Oppenheimer on here?
No,
Really?
he plays such a side character in that. I'm sorry, but no.
I think he's crucial to the whole first half of the movie.
The
Okay,
other 4, he's like one of the main.
that's true, but I still think
He-
it deserved to be on the list. That was a good role for him.
What would you take out then? Where he's like the main in pretty much all these other ones. That's where Saving Private Ryan would be a good spot for Oppenheimer instead.
Yeah, but it's kind of yeah. We can change that if you want. I just had it higher. I like his role in Oppenheimer. It's okay. All right. I guess I'll go ahead and take The Martian here. I'm not the biggest fan of The Martian, but I think it has to be on the list.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, really good acting from him. So I guess, yeah, it should be higher than the movie itself, just the movie in general.
Hmm.
But obviously, being alone, having to, act all alone for so many of your scenes, it's really tough to kind of work through that. But yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah. I read something about the movie or watched a video of his where he explains where they recorded all the scenes with the other actors like Jessica Chastain and Carlos Pena, all of them months before. And then it was just him and Ridley Scott for the rest of the time. And so in the final scene, it is the final scene that they filmed of like him going up in the sky. And they actually play like Jessica Chastain's like voiceover to get an emotion out of him. And then he's just like thinking about how yeah, this guy hasn't heard a human voice in like a whole year and a half. So it's like, yeah, the emotions start hitting, and he's like, it felt like a really real like moment for him.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. Number 3, I think there's a clear top 2, so I'm going to take The Departed here with number 3. Yeah, I think we've done it on this podcast before. Really good role with him. And
First
Leonardo
episode.
DiCaprio. Yep, it's first episode, and then opposite of Leonardo DiCaprio. My opinion, Loki. I think he plays his role better than DiCaprio does in that film. Maybe a hot take, but I think he does. But I think Marky Mark takes over the film, in my opinion. I think plays the best asshole Bostonian in that film. But still really good role, crucial to the film. You hate him. He's like the villain of the film in a lot of sense, even though Jack Nicholson is like the crime boss,
Yeah.
you hate Matt Damon more.
Yeah.
You're like, this
Or
guy's a
because
piece of
he's like,
crap.
yeah, he's like a snake.
Yeah. And then he just like kind of abuses that woman, not like physically, but like emotionally.
Yeah. All right. Here I'm taking the talented Mr. Ripley.
Okay.
I think obviously we talked about this one a lot. I just think Good Will Hunting is his, masterpiece.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I think the list would look a little cooler if Townsend Mr. Ripley was number one, because I feel like everybody puts Goodwill Hunting number one. But I
We don't
agree
have
that
to
it's
be
just,
different, man.
sometimes you got to, man. My personal list, I have Mr. Ripley number one just because I think the performance is a little more nuanced. But you have to take into factor that he wrote the entire story for Goodwill Hunting.
That, and I think it's just way more emotional. I mean, I
Yeah.
I think of that scene where he like breaks down in front of Robin Williams. That scene is a tough watch, dude.
Yeah. Dude, I've heard
I've
so much
never
about this
seen
movie.
him act like that ever again.
I think I've heard more stories about this film than I've actually watched it. Like I've watched it probably maybe once or it is a hard watch, but maybe once or twice in my life. But like the amount of stories I hear just from him, Affleck talk about it, and just how well they talk about Robert Williams as well. Because the last part of the film where he's like, "Oh, he stole my line," Robert Williams came up with at the point. Like it was improv. It wasn't written down. And then they got so excited because it was like their first movie, like actually writing. Him and like Ben Affleck just started hugging each other, like, we got our fucking film. Such a cool story because the year prior to that Oscars, they were at their mom's house watching the Oscars. And then the next year, they brought their moms to the Oscars when they won. Like,
Yeah, that's crazy.
yeah, it's such a cool story for them. And then they both just turned out to be like the
Block.
Boston actors. Yeah,
Yeah,
just blockbuster actors.
that's what I'm saying. Like, look at this list now, dude. It's like half of them are all blockbusters, if not
Yeah.
more. I'd say
Yeah.
probably 80%.
Hmm.
And so it's like, and we know he has Good Will Hunting in him, but does he want to do that?
Yeah. Yeah. Because for the Oscars, they mainly give like emotional roles
Yeah.
for lead actors. You have to get pretty emotional to win an Oscar. But then Michael B. Jordan won this year, and he was emotional at points, but not like super emotional, not like a Casey Affleck.
Yeah.
Which he was supposed to play the lead actor in Manchester by the Sea. Matt Damon was,
And he
and
felt
then
like he
he had
couldn't do it.
no, there's schedule conflicts. So he gave it over, and he's like, "This is like a perfect script." And then he's been here. He jokes about like, "I gave Casey his Oscar."
I think he also turned down Avatar because of a scheduling conflict, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah, he would have gotten like 2% of the income from Avatar, so he'd be like the richest guy
The
in
highest
Hollywood.
grossing movie of all time.
Yeah,
What did he turn
so
it down for?
I don't. Maybe if it was True Grit, I understand. Sometimes art takes over, but yeah, look it up. If it's like some really bad movie,
Bourne Ultimatum.
tough take, tough take. I've heard that's the best Bourne movie, but
I know, but still. I know that's
yeah,
probably that's his other that's his
yeah.
thing too. So just gotta let him
You're telling me that the main actor couldn't have been like, "Yo, can we push this so I could be in this like James Cameron movie?" Like it's
something.
James freaking Cameron. Like, oh
Yeah, for
man,
real.
is what it is. Do we want to swap out Oppenheimer with Saving Private Ryan?
Leave it in.
Leave it in. All right. My personal list, I had the Ocean's films at 10, Contagion number 9, but then I had Oppenheimer at 13, True Grit above that. It's just hard when you're like ranking like lead films and then him
Yeah.
playing with people,
Yeah, I know. I was kind of balancing out my number 2 between Oppenheimer and We Bought a Zoo behind Good Will Hunting. So it's just kind of like, it's a lot to dive into when you
Yeah.
kind of look at how important he is to the plot of the movie.
He was the one that bought the zoo, but
He bought the zoo, so it's like you kind of got to put that up there.
yeah, he's the one that feeds the lion, becomes best friends with the lion, emotionally attached to that lion.
Exactly. I mean, I'd argue that if we did a top 10 Scarlett Johansson, We Bought a Zoo's probably like 3 or 4 for her too.
Sure. I forgot that she was even in that. That says anything. All right, so top 10 for him, we put number 10, Saving Private Ryan, number 9, Invictus, 8, Air, 7, the entire Bourne franchise, 6, Ford vs. Ferrari, 5, The Last Duel, 4, The Martian, 3, The Departed, 2, The Talented Mr. Ripley, and 1, Good Will Hunting.
I'm having Madison edit in an honorable mention at the end for We Bought a Zoo, just for the
Oh
bit.
yeah, yeah, just for the bit. Maybe add in like he does like or Euro Trip as well. Add in Euro Trip as honorable mention. Have you? I don't think you've seen it, but
I
like
have it.
he plays like a lead singer of like a punk band, and he just sings about like stealing this guy's girlfriend, and he's like bald and like has earring, and this comes out in like 2005, and
That's
everyone's like,
crazy.
"What the fuck is Damon doing?" He's like plays like a high school kid.
Somebody gave him the wrong script.
It's like such a random funny role. It's kind of like Tom Cruise and Tropic Thunder, where you're
Yeah.
like, what are they doing? They were just bored. Cool though. Yeah, that wraps up like us talking about Matt Damon before the Odyssey comes out. Yeah,
Sick.
gonna be a sick movie.
I'm excited.
Thanks for listening this week. We have our 1 year anniversary film or episode coming out in the near future, so look out for that. But yeah, see you guys next time.
See ya.